And there we go, the button has been clicked. So hello everyone, it's me, Parker. You might recognize me as that guy who reads Psalms on the internet. And today I'm joined with my good friend, Mr. Pizza Man.
Just call me Tim.
Just what?
Just call me Tim.
Tim.
I'm not, yeah.
Tim the Pizza Man. Alrighty. This is,
Oh, I get it.
This is awesome. Okay, so we're going to read Psalm 49, right?
Yep.
That's good, because earlier I was looking at Psalm 59, and then I frantically flipped back when I realized I was in the wrong spot.
Uh-oh. That would be a disaster.
That would have been funny if you read that would have been funny if we didn't catch that and you read Psalm 49 and then I read 59.
Yeah, and then I would only realize halfway through everything.
Yeah. Alrighty. So we're doing something a little bit different. You're going to read it in your native language, right?
Yep.
And
In Bahasa Indonesia.
well, how do you pronounce that?
Bahasa Indonesia.
Bohasa.
Bahasa, just Bahasa
Bahasa?
Indonesia.
Bahasa
Yeah.
Indonesia. All right, I will forget that in about 30 seconds. So why don't you start us off?
Okay. So it's Psalm 49. Psalm in Bahasa Indonesia is Mazmur, and 49 in Bahasa Indonesia is 49. So 4, 4, and 9. So I'm reading Mazmur 49. It is called, in English it's called Confidence of the Foolish. Here it's called Kebahagiaan yang sia-sia. Untuk pemimpin biduan dari Bani Korah, Mazmur. Dengarlah, hai bangsa-bangsa sekalian, pasanglah telinga, hai semua penduduk dunia, baik yang hina maupun yang mulia, baik yang kaya maupun yang miskin bersama-sama. Mulutku akan mengucapkan hikmat, dan yang direnungkan hatiku ialah pengertian. Aku akan menyendengkan telingaku kepada Amsal, akan mengutarakan peribahasaku dengan bermain kecapi. Mengapa aku takut pada hari-hari celaka, pada waktu aku dikepung oleh kejahatan pengejar-pengejarku? Mereka yang mempercaya akan bendanya dan memegahkan diri dengan banyaknya kekayaan mereka. Tidak seorang pun dapat membebaskan dirinya atau memberikan tebusan kepada Allah ganti nyawanya. Karena terlalu mahal harga pembebasan nyawanya dan tidak memadai untuk selama-lamanya. Supaya ia tetap hidup untuk seterusnya dan tidak melihat lubang kubur. Sungguh akan lihatnya orang-orang yang mempunyai hikmat mati. Orang-orang bodoh dan dungu pun binasa bersama-sama dan meninggalkan harta benda mereka untuk orang lain. Kubur mereka ialah rumah mereka untuk selama-lamanya. Tempat kediaman mereka turun-temurun. Mereka menganggap ladang-ladang milik mereka. Tetapi dengan segala kegemilangannya, manusia tidak dapat bertahan. Ia boleh disamakan dengan hewan yang dibinasakan. Inilah jalan orang-orang yang percaya kepada dirinya sendiri. Ajal orang-orang yang gemar akan perkataannya sendiri. Selah. Seperti domba, mereka meluncur ke dalam dunia orang mati, digembalakan oleh maut. Mereka turun langsung ke kubur, perawakan mereka hancur, dunia orang mati menjadi tempat kediaman mereka. Tetapi Allah akan membebaskan nyawaku dari cengkeraman dunia orang mati, sebab ia akan menarik aku. Selah. Janganlah takut apabila seseorang menjadi kaya, apabila kemudian keluarganya bertambah, sebab pada waktu matinya semuanya itu tidak akan dibawanya serta. Kemuliaannya tidak akan turun mengikuti dia. Sekalipun ia menganggap dirinya berbahagia pada masa hidupnya, sekalipun orang menyanjungnya, karena ia berbuat baik terhadap dirinya sendiri, namun ia akan sampai kepada angkatan nenek moyangnya yang tidak akan melihat terang untuk seterusnya. Manusia yang dengan segala kegemilangannya tidak mempunyai pengertian, boleh disamakan dengan hewan yang dibinasakan. That's it.
Awesome. I'll be reading the English version. I forgot to say what translation. I'm reading the NIV. Actually, more specifically, I'm reading the old version of NIV. So I'm reading the old new international version.
Sure.
But
cool.
Yeah. All right, so let's get started here. Hear this, all you peoples. Listen, all who live in the world, both low and high, rich and poor alike. My mouth will speak words of wisdom. The utterance of my heart will give understanding. I will turn my ear to the proverb. With the harp I will expand my riddle. Why should I fear when evil days come, when wicked deceivers surround me? Those who trust in the wealth and boast of their great riches. No man can redeem the life for another, or give God ransom for him. The ransom for a life is costly. No payment is ever enough, that he should live on forever and not see decay. For all can see that wise men die, the foolish and the senseless alike perish, and leave their wealth to others. Their tombs will remain their house forever, their dwellings for endless generations, though they had named the lands after themselves. But man, despite his riches, does not endure. He is like the beasts that perish. This is the fate of those who trust in themselves, and of the followers who approve of their sayings. Like sheep, they are destined for the grave, and death will feed on them. The upright will rule over them in the morning. Their forms will decay in the grave, far from their princely mansions. But God will redeem my life from the grave. He will surely take me to himself. Do not be overwrought when a man grows rich, when the splendor of his house increases, for he will take nothing with him when he dies. His splendor does not descend with him. Though, while he lived, he counted himself blessed, and men praise you when you prosper. He will join the generations of his fathers, who will never see the light of life. A man who has riches without understanding is like the beasts that perish. There we go. We did it.
Yeah.
Excellent. So this is the part where we talk about the things. So don't know about you, but the part that stood out to me was this section in the middle here. It says, no man can redeem a life of another or give God ransom for him. In that section there. And that is, that's interesting to me because isn't that what Jesus did? A little bit later on?
Yeah.
Did it for everyone?
Yeah.
But then it's like...
it's actually referring to, not directly referring to Jesus' sacrifice, but actually, for me personally, I think it's about how it is only able to be done through grace and not through material wealth and through what we have, through what we have gained in our lives. And people actually tried to do that, exchange, not saying that they would, I will give this in exchange for my life or for something, but it actually shows that how willing people are to exchange their lives for something so temporary like material life. They don't understand, they don't grasp the concept of something that you cannot buy with your wealth, with what you have, with your money, with your properties, with intellect, with your knowledge. There are just some things that it can only be done through grace, and grace is not something you buy. It's not something you purchase. It's something that's given to you.
Right. Yeah. Like how it says later on, but God will redeem my life from the grave. So it's acknowledging that. Yeah. That's pretty awesome. It's a good pick.
But I think the part that really, sorry.
I was saying you picked a good one.
But I think the part that really intrigues me is how it is really some of the translations are not entirely, I won't say, but in a sense, it might give off different different meanings.
Right.
Like and I always read New King James Version. The King James Version, both the King James Version and Indonesian New Translation
Right.
have titles. So the Psalm 49 in King James Version is titled "The Confidence of the Foolish," but in Indonesian it is titled, if I translate, meaningless meaningless prosperity, meaningless happiness. So it's called kebahagiaan yang sia-sia, meaningless happiness. And in a sense, in a broader sense, it might give different meaning. Like this one is referring to the confidence of the foolish. Who are the foolish? Who are the confident? Who are the foolish that are confident? But in Indonesian, it's referring to the meaningless happiness. What are the meaningless happiness? And it just shows that these two, if not read thoroughly, might be taken in differently, you know. But if read thoroughly, of course, it essentially means the same thing. It's really interesting to see that different translations focus on not different things, but emphasizes on different things. Like the King James Version emphasizes on how being on trusting on your wealth is foolishness. But then the Indonesian translation just straight up saying happiness that are useless, meaningless happiness. It's very interesting to see that.
Yeah.
And it's also like an interesting psalm, because most psalms are like, they mostly prayers, mostly praises, but this one just straight up said these are this is going to be a psalm of wisdom. It's not of praise, it's not prayers, of wisdom, and it actually emphasizes on how to make it as understandable as possible from verses 1 to 4.
Oh, right, yeah.
The psalm says, "My mouth shall speak wisdom, and the meditation of my heart shall give understanding." And I think it's in the verse 4, "I will disclose my dark saying on the harp," shows that those bits show that this psalm is intended for everyone to understand. So it is made as understandable as possible. And even in the ending part, not I think it's in verses 16 to 20, it actually gives practical application of the wisdom of not being afraid when others become rich, and to realize that don't be afraid of them, because if they are becoming rich and becoming self-sufficient, they still won't carry any of those away with them when they're with us. And it's really interesting to see a psalm so practical when it mostly is about praises and prayer throughout David's life, not just when he was running away from Saul, is it? But it's also throughout his life, because his life revolves around so many phrases of whatever he wants to say,
right?
Even during his darker times. Yeah. Did I confuse you? I'm sorry.
Oh no, sorry. I'm just looking up at. So you're talking about David, but so it's saying for the director of music of the Sons of Korah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I understand correctly, if I study correctly, Sons of Korah are Levites,
right?
And they serve in a musical aspect in temple of worship during David's time.
Neat. That's cool. See,
what are your other takes? What are your other takes?
See, I remember in my version here it says, "I will turn my ear to the Proverbs." I thought that was interesting. So that kind of goes with what you were saying earlier, that this is a psalm of wisdom, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of, obviously from a modern perspective, I'm not sure if they would have made this connection back then, but it says Proverbs, so I think about the book of Proverbs too, right? But
I think Proverbs is said here is just a general proverb in general. Yeah.
I do think that's what it is, but it's just a little interesting thing.
Indeed.
my Bible here has a little insert section about a little bit of commentary here about how money can't buy life, which is
Mhm.
yeah, pretty much you covered all that. So not really anything new over there. You're smarter than the guys who wrote my book, apparently. Or I should I should clarify that you're oh, okay. You know, I'm just not going to dig that hole any deeper. Um,
Let's avoid that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I kind of just want to clear things, make things more clear here that um, some people might take this as psalm that refers to people who rely on their material wealth, and sometimes most of the time actually, material life is associated with um, money, property, houses, homes, lands, how much of those you have. But I think you can actually relate this with anything that makes men feel self-sufficient,
Right.
because if they feel self-sufficiency, they will trust in themselves, and themselves meaning that anything they own, anything that they claim as their own.
Mm-hmm.
And so people who boast, maybe there are people out there who are not really financially equipped, but I think people who are intellectually equipped are actually also able to, or think they are intellectually equipped, can also fall into this misunderstanding that their intellectual may save them, their intellectual wealthiness may redeem them, may because when it's a material thing, you know that you won't be bringing it into your grave because you will die. But
Mm-hmm.
some people might understand that if it's something in my mind, if it's something that I can think of, maybe I will bring it into my grave. Because it's something that's intangible, something you can't just unattach from you. You know, so people who claim themselves intelligent should be really careful, because actually I've come across a lot of people who think that they are better than God just because they have more understanding of this world,
Yeah.
and they become absorbed in their own selves, and then I should say it's actually more dangerous than wealth, because than actual material wealth, because these people can I should say impact each other more easily, because they have more, because other people trust them more, because they're intellectually equipped. People trust them more, and then it's easier for them to influence others into believing that intellectual wealth is anything that you need, everything that you need.
Yeah. Like how I say, a long time ago, I used to know everything, and now I learned that I know nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being a university student really tests you with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially when you're studying something that um, my major isn't exactly friendly to religious beliefs.
Right.
Um, so it's really easy for people to just brush spirituality aside, brush religion aside, and actually focus more on what the major is teaching, which is okay, but um, then becoming self-sufficient from it is just it's the wrong path. It's the wrong thing. It's what the psalm is talking about.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then there's also this emphasis, like base that perish, that's mentioned twice
Mm-hmm.
in the psalm. Yeah, it's basically saying that, for me, what I get from it is uh, that a soul that puts trust in something temporary would also become temporary, like a base that perish. They have no thought of and preparation on how to live the eternal life, because of course base don't think of what the eternal life has for them. So being the foolish and senseless person referred by the psalm will ultimately make you like a base that perish, that you only think of the temporary, you only think of the present, but you don't prepare yourself for what's to come when God finally comes down and judges and brings us back home. And
Right.
yeah, and then there's also it also is referring to the people who approve of those foolishness and senselessness, that they will become of the same thing. And that is all I have to say. That is all of my notes.
Just one more sentence again. But it says the beasts that perish. I'm assuming that's talking about every beast except for bunny rabbits and moo cows, right?
Yeah, of course, we all have our own places up there.
All right.
Are we becoming animals?
All right. So this is the part where we awkwardly stare at each other, and I try and think of a way to end the video. So I think I'll just end it. All right, guys. So thank you guys for showing up. Thank you guys for hanging out, and I will see you guys next summer day. Want to say goodbye, Tim the Pizza Man?
Thank you, and make sure to stay in touch with Summer Day because it's every week, guys. It's every week.
Try to.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah. Usually, mostly, sometimes.
Mostly, yeah.
Alrighty.